Welcome to the Growing Your Financial Business the Woman's Way podcast. I'm Robin Crane, and I was a financial advisor for over a decade. But before that, I was a singer-songwriter. And now, even as a mom of three with a teenager, toddler, and a baby, I run a seven-figure business helping women in financial services grow their businesses and make a bigger impact. In this podcast, I'll bring you financial advisors, industry influencers, and highly successful entrepreneurs to give you innovative strategies designed for women. So get ready to learn how to get in front of the right people, get more ideal clients, and be able to grow your ideal business so you can live your ideal life. Welcome to Growing Your Financial Business the Woman's Way. This is Robin Crane, and I'm very excited to introduce Shannah Compton Game. Check this out. I'm so impressed right now. I might get a little bit of what do they call it when you see like the actors and stuff? And
fangirl?
Like, really fangirl. I'll be a little fangirl. Like, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, she's got 17 million downloads on her podcast, so I'm like, I'm not worthy. Okay, but check this woman out. Shannah is a money wellness expert. She's also a certified financial planner professional. Has an MBA, on a mission to revolutionize how you think, act, and feel about your money. She is host of the highly ranked iTunes podcast, which is featured as one of the top 5 money podcasts by New York Times, called Millennial Money. Go check it out. I mean, not right this second, but after this. And has listeners in 164 countries and over, like I said, 17 million downloads. How long has that podcast been going on for you to have 17 million downloads? That's so impressive.
It feels like forever, but it has just been, I guess it is forever. It's been since 2015. So
okay.
Quite a while now.
Like you were like in the front of this. You're like, podcast, I'm in. I mean, I don't know when podcasts started, but like that seems really early. Do you know when podcasts started?
I don't know. I think I've heard some podcasts around like 2012, somewhere around there, but it was definitely a whole different landscape in 2015. And good thing, because I had no idea what I was doing. So it's probably very fortuitous.
That's amazing. Well, good job being at the forefront of this and getting 17 million downloads. I mean, that is impactful on so many accounts to help people. We want to talk today about why money mindset is the missing ingredient and how oftentimes it's not just not focused on when it comes to you and your clients as a financial advisor, and both of us, with the background as financial planners, but also maybe how your money mindset isn't exactly where you need it to be in order to get the results that you want. So I will let you take it away here, Shannah. Tell us a little about you and how you got to be where you are today, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, well, I'm really a entrepreneur at heart, and I'm one of those crazy people that's kind of like half creative and half expertise. So I love the business side. Obviously, I have an MBA, certified financial planner, but then I'm equally very creative, which is kind of where the podcast comes and lots of other ventures. I love obviously speaking and writing about money. I started my first business when I was 19 in college, and ran that for about 5 years and then sold it out of college and was kind of trying to figure out, well, what do I do with myself now?
What business did you have at 19 that you could sell? Like most people have a business, they never can sell it. What the heck did you have at 19 for 5 years that you actually sold? And I got to ask, how much money did you make from that sale of that business? Because that's very amazing.
Yeah, it was at the time the first National Student Film Festival. Uh-huh. And we would bring entertainment guests out. We had over 150 kids over those 5 years, got jobs and internships in the entertainment industry. Many of them now are famous actors, directors, writers, editors, you name it.
This fangirl thing for a reason.
So it was great. I ended up selling it to a big time Hollywood producer who I still can't disclose his name per an NDA that will probably be with me for the rest of my life. But let's just say it was a very good situation for a 21-year-old at the time. And just proof that sometimes taking a risk and really not knowing exactly what you're doing does pay off. But that is really where I honed business skills and financial skills, and a lot of what we're going to talk about today, money mindset skills, that I didn't really know that was happening at that age. But now when I look back at it, I was like, wow, that was really the foundational kind of groundwork for how my career has evolved. But after that, I didn't know what to do. So I did the next logical thing, go back and get my MBA because I knew I loved business. And everybody in my program was working at big companies, Disney's and Amgen's. And I was over here like, hi, I'm the entrepreneur. And so I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with that. And at the time, my father had been in the financial industry his whole career, and he had a small financial firm and said, do you want to just come work with me and like see if we like this thing? And I thought, okay, why the heck not? So, from day one, we were working with clients who had $100 million, net worth and was just kind of jumping in there and being able to see how people operate and, widening my experience for people, just coming out of college all the way to those types of people we were talking about, and really got to see a lot of commonalities that exist no matter your age, demographic, how much money you make. And so that was really super intriguing to me. And of course, over time, the creative side, it always bubbles up to the surface for me. It's very hard for me to wish that away. So I got my CFP, started an RIA firm focusing primarily on women entrepreneurs. And then in 2017, after the podcast really started to get juicy, and I started to see more opportunities to create a niche in the teaching, speaking side of money, I left my RIA and now have been doing this full time. Started a business in 2020, kind of the worst possible year, but in 2020 called Hello, It's Me. And we create tools around authenticity. And our first tool is a money mindset journal, which is a process I had been using for years myself and that I had taught clients and taught friends. And so really pull it in together into a one-of-a-kind type product to help you really understand this idea of money mindset and why this thing even matters. So it's been a very interesting career, and I have no idea where it goes.
Wow. So you started a business at 19, sold that business, went and worked with your dad as a financial advisor. So are you still a CFP?
I am, yes.
See, it's like once you do that, you don't want to give it up. Me too. It's like, I don't want to give that up. That was a lot of work. And then I'm like, I still got those letters I can put at the end of my name. So I'm going to keep them there. So I'm going to keep paying and doing those CE credits, right? But you're not a practicing certified financial planner.
No longer practicing.
Okay,
yeah, practiced for about 12 years and then decided like, let's take this expertise and morph it a little bit different. And that's what I think is really cool about CFP is that if you talk to 10 of us, we have all different ways that we've interpreted what we do and how we use those three letters, that designation. And I think that's what's particularly for women really exciting is there are so many more opportunities than there used to be.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. I not that I did a ton of money mindset, but actually, I could really relate to that. I mean, for sure, there was, I kind of morphed into doing money coaching for a while. So I became a financial advisor in 2006. And then a couple of years in, I just noticed, which I'm sure, like you said, like no matter how much money people have or how much they don't have, there's always this issue of money mindset. And I talked a lot about how your beliefs influence your behaviors, which influences your success. So I did a lot around like, if you change the behaviors, the beliefs start to change, which is the mindset piece as well. So I did a lot of money coaching just because just doing financial planning I was going to say isn't enough, but I think most financial planners are doing so much. We often say we're therapists, we say we're coaches, we're advisors. Like there's so many hats that you wear because there's so many moving pieces with something like money that's so emotional and there's so much that it just pulls you in and pulls you out and makes you stressed and makes you happy, like all these things. So give us some ideas and tools. I think let's start with them themselves. Like I know even people with $100 million and even there's probably some advisors listening right now who have a nice, 7 or 8 figure business and think, oh, my money mindset is the bomb right now. Like I got that. But what would you say to that? And what's something everybody, whether they have negative money to their name or hundreds of millions to their name, that would be useful for them?
Yeah, it's so important. And I think it's really easy to think like, oh, that, either I'm a financial expert, that's not applicable to me. Or, yeah, I'm, a seasoned veteran in this business and I'm making a certain amount of money and that's not the case. But you brought up a good point, which is even though we are financial experts, still there is this taboo nature around money and not talking about money. And even though we do this in one way, shape, or form for a living, it's still not a natural conversation that happens with us. And a lot of that stems back to childhood, how we were raised. And most of us haven't spent time really thinking about that. I have an exercise in the Money Mindset Journal called Your Money Story. And I think it's a relevant exercise no matter where you are in life, because it's a process of uncovering, why do you think certain ways? What influences did you pick up from your childhood? What are you maybe still carrying forward that maybe there isn't this awareness around? And then even just a really simple question that sounds so simple, but it is so powerful, of thinking about, how does money make you feel? And really getting to the root of that. You know, you talked about habits and behaviors. Well, anybody here who has worked with clients knows that it's very difficult to get a client to change habits or behaviors. So the way I've found that works best is to go to the money story, to figure out how they feel about money, how they think I can feel about it. How does money reverberate in their body, in their mind, right? And when we get to that sort of foundation core, then that's where we can do the work around the habits and change those habits and behaviors. And then we just lay the financial strategies kind of on top of that piece, right? But there needs to be this transformation. So I think for all of us, it's really easy to just get sort of sucked in the society, which is a more society, you know, where more money is always better, more things is always better. We're with social media now, we're constantly competing for likes and comments and the algorithm. I mean, this is just sort of the society that we live in.
More podcast downloads are
more
always
podcast
better.
downloads,
17
right?
million, in fact.
So it's this like scarcity driven society. And even if we're financial experts, it's still really easy to get caught up in this sort of societal tug of war. And so when we come back to our money mindset, it is really just this awareness piece of, how do we think, act, and feel? What has influenced us? What are some of those blind spot areas that maybe we need to just focus on? And I really believe it's a daily practice over and over again. I mean, I don't know about you, but I obviously know a lot about money strategies, but I still get very sucked into fear, anxiety, overwhelm over money. And so there isn't any textbook that I can read with a money strategy that has an antidote for that. So I've got to go over here to the mindset piece to really understand and unpack what is going on for me. There are simple things daily. I mean, I always name at least 3 things I'm grateful for. There are so many different scientific studies that actually gratitude really does change kind of the molecular structure in your brain. And again, a lot of these things sound very simple, but when they're done repetitively over and over again, that's when you start to not only see the change, but you can feel the change inside of you. And then that's the place where you can really start to make transformation, I believe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would absolutely agree with that. I sometimes like to be the guinea pig here and show it in action. Are you up for playing the game for pretend you don't have to pretend I need help, because of course I need help. Everyone needs help. But I think, as you're listening to this, those of you on the podcast listening, I think sometimes for me, it's hard to understand or really put it into how I can do this in my life and how it's really going to make a difference unless I experience it or hear an example of it. And so do you do one-on-one coaching? Do you help clients one-on-one, or do you mostly do group stuff?
I mainly do group stuff. Yep.
Yeah, me too. Okay. But you do hot seats sometimes?
Yes.
Okay. So put me in the hot seat. Okay. Put me in the hot seat if you would. Am I putting you in the hot seat by putting me in the hot seat? I know you can handle it. You got 17 million downloads. So
we're all in the hot seat.
Go through a process. And let's say I want to, I'm not a financial advisor anymore, but if I was a financial advisor and wanting to grow my business, or even just who I am today, I want to grow my business. I want to make an impact. I'm driven by the impact, but my book is called Make More Money, Help More People. So it's all about, I know that if I make more money, I'll help more people. But if I'm just thinking, for those of you listening right now, you want I know one thing, you're listening to this podcast because you want to grow your financial business and you want to do it your way or the woman's way. So we know that about you, even though we haven't necessarily spoken one-on-one. And then the other thing is, I know you because you're a woman, that you want to make a bigger impact and you really want to serve your clients at a higher level. And if you can have even more transformation, we're talking about more, right? More transformation, but give them more value, you would. So if you use it on yourself, and you're able to do that yourself, and you do these daily habits and this sort of thing, and then you're able to bring that to your clients, now you get not just double the effect, but like a crazy ripple effect, compounding effect that could help millions of people more. Because if you help you, and then you're better at what you do, and then you help those people that you're working with every single day, it could be massive. So if you can walk me through an exercise, and I'll be the guinea pig, and tell to extract my money story or something, what would be most valuable? Go for it. I'm an open book. I'll tell you anything you want to know.
Open book. Awesome. All right. So let's just start.
Taboo issue anymore. Like I asked you how much you made from your company, you sideswiped it, but I get it. You have some, non-disclosure issues, but I don't have that issue because I know that there's judgment out there, and no matter how much you make, if you make too much, someone's going to judge you. You make the same and someone else doesn't think it's enough. But I'm all about being real and vulnerable and authentic. And I care more about impacting lives than I do about someone judging me. So that's what I've come to realize. So hit me up. I
love it. All right. We'll do a little money story exercise. There's also a little exercise that you could do daily, but we'll stick with the money story since we're talking about it. So let's start with that sort of high arching question. So Robin, tell me a little bit, how does money make you feel? How does it sit in your body?
I felt nervous all of a sudden. I don't know if that's because you're asking me these things that seems like deep and I felt vulnerable, or if because money makes me feel that way. So it's hard to say, but for me, I can tell you spending money definitely gives me a certain feeling. So money specifically, just money, it depends where we take that. But if I say I've always been more scarcity driven, like spending money makes me nervous. If I feel like I lose money, even, I tell this story, I have these money types, and one of them is called a cheap chip. And I'm a cheap chip, means I do not like to spend money. And I actually have that scarcity. I grew up not wanting to spend a lot of money. And I know my parents, we would go to Chinese food almost every Friday. And it was we were the chicken family, irrelevant, but my mom used to go because we used to order all this chicken. Weird, but totally irrelevant. But I wanted to order, if I wanted to order a soda, my dad would not say don't order soda because it's not good for you, but he wouldn't let us order a soda because he didn't think it made sense to buy, probably back then, $1.25 soda when you can get a 6-pack for $1 or whatever the numbers were. It just didn't make logical sense because he does not like to waste money. So I learned that from my parents very much early on. And so wasting money, losing money, definitely makes me anxious.
So how do you spend it? I don't mean to cut you off.
No, please interrupt me all day long. It's cool.
How does that then translate for you? Maybe in a strength and maybe in a weakness over in your business. Can you see a through line of how that story comes through for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's hard to say now or later or in the past, right? So in the past, when I first became I'm going to tell you both, because I think depending on who's listening right now, a lot of, some of you are having the success and some of you are struggling. And when I first started as a financial advisor, I was very much struggling. And part of that struggle was because I was scared to invest in myself. I was a singer-songwriter before. I see you have a guitar in the background. So I was a singer-songwriter before I became a financial advisor. So I didn't have all this money. And then I had to invest in the licensing on my own. It was an independent company. So I had to put money up front. And then because I wasn't making very much money and I was struggling and it was hard, I had to go into debt, and that was the worst. And so at the beginning, it affected me that I didn't want to, I would hold on to my money. I didn't want to spend it. So I was afraid of taking risks. And in the first few years of my career, I wasn't making a lot of money, and it hurt me majorly because I was so scarcity driven and I wouldn't invest in myself in the ways that you really need to in order to grow a business. Then, all the transformation until today, I'm much more about throwing money at the problem, but I'm still a cheap chip. I don't like to spend a lot of money, but I would much rather get the best person, the best marketing person, and have a bigger reward, one, to make more money, but also to help more people. So now I take a lot of risks financially.
I'm okay. I actually don't mind getting in debt. I mean, I'm not in debt right now, but like I pay everything off, but I would go into debt if I knew that if I dropped another $100,000 in my business tomorrow and I needed the cash flow or something. And even if I couldn't pay it off, in a week or something, or let's say $1 million, I would do it if I really felt confident that I'd get the return and be able to help more people. So I've done a lot of work myself. So I don't know. It's just a lot of shifts, but
yeah,
I think in my gut, I still don't like wasting money.
Right. No, but that's like what you're talking about, though. The fact that you've had sort of these revelations and you've been able to connect that through, I think that's really powerful, because then you can look at your business and say, okay, maybe how is this showing up? And everything that comes from our childhood, it's not all negative. There is also a positive side. I mean, that's also like a protectionary element for you as well. So it's finding that sort of delicate balance between those two things, but it starts with that awareness point. So that's like amazing that you share that.
I'll give you an example. I was just thinking, because I just got back recently from a mastermind in Laguna Beach, and not too long ago. And basically, like, it's a very high-end mastermind. It's called the War Room. And so I'm like the least successful person, one of the least successful people there. I mean, a lot of them are doing 50 million, 100 million. Someone I was talking to, he was offered like a $250 million deal, and he turned it down, some billionaires and that. And I'm like, oh my God, these people are so amazing. This one woman was like, she was saying, oh, she had 3 million views on this Facebook Live, and that was like small. And I was like, oh my God, I get like 2 eyeballs. But I mean, anyway, I went to this mastermind, but this was not the point. I digress. And it was at the Montage, which is normally like $1,500 a night. Okay. And which is something like, I have no desire to spend that ever, like no matter how much money I make, and I do pretty well. And we had been there before when we were still pretty successful at the last mastermind. And there's across the street, there's this Laguna Beach Lodge that's like a fraction of the cost. Now, we would still get a discount with the group rates. I think it was something like $500 a night. But even to spend 3 nights, or what I think it was even to only 2 nights, to spend $1,000 for the Montage, or across the street, which is a decent hotel, nice rooms, it's fine. It literally is a 3-minute walk, maybe a 2-minute walk across the street. And instead it was like a total with tax and everything, $400. So let's say I saved $600 to $800. I'll do that all day long, even today, doing 7 figures, because I'm like, I don't value it. Like, I don't think I need to be at the Montage. Like, I don't really care. I'm going to be there for the whole event anyway, but I'm just sleeping. So I don't like to waste money on that, and on the way back, like, we didn't fly first class. We fly freaking economy, because I don't like to spend money on that stuff. I don't value it. Do I have the money? I do have the money. I could spend that money, but I'd rather have more of it to invest. I'd rather have more of it to put back in my business. So that's the type of thing I still do. And I would say that's serving me in many ways, because I'm not afraid. It's not fear. It's not scarcity around it. It's just that it's a choice. But I don't live it up a lot, because I don't value living it up. But at the same time, I'm happy to hire people to do stuff for me all the time. Like, I have, my full-time nanny, and we had someone like doing dishes for us. Like, we were like, some people say that's very luxurious to have people do that, but that's what I value. So I invest or spend money on the things I value. And then other things, I'm very cheap about it, because I'm like, I just don't care. But I don't know if that's always good, because like, maybe I should be in more abundance. Like, I can always make more money. So maybe I should just stay at the Montage. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you mentioned this idea of values, and that's really important, of figuring out what do you value. I always suggest this process of doing an exercise I call creating your money manifesto. So just like a business will have a manifesto or like a creed or something that they believe in, do the same thing for you and your money. So, what do you value? What do you want your life to be about, to look like, and then attach your money to that manifesto. So your decision of not staying at that particular hotel at the Montage, like, that is part of your manifesto. That's part of your values, your creed, if you will. And there's no judgment there. It's not a right or a wrong. It's just, that's who you are. And that's what you've decided is important to you. And so I think that's an amazing exercise to go through and think about on your own, because when you can really identify those things, then those decision processes become a lot easier. And that's really a mindset piece, right? So you already decide, I don't need to stay at the Montage. If I want to stay at there, I can afford it. Great. But this is something that's more valuable to me. I'd rather have the money to invest other ways in my business.
Yeah. Someone said, I think they're like, oh, I like the montage. I'm like, I like my money. That's what I like. I like my money better than I like the montage. I do. So, awesome. This is great. So thank you for, using me as an example. So give them some other good things. I like this. So one is have a money manifesto, which includes your values and what's important to you. Is there any other guidelines for creating that? I mean, sure, there are a ton, but like tips you can give them.
I tend to keep it really loose. Don't get too flowery with the language, but make it something that you would, maybe hang up on the wall and look at and remind yourself every day, A, of why you're doing what you're doing, and B, the role you want money to have in your life. And so I think that is really important. I have one hung up on my wall, just like you would in a business. And sometimes it's kind of my North Star when things start getting a little shaky for me, or when I might get down an anxious, fearful spiral. I come back and look at that and go, okay, let me just remember who I am and the place I want money to occupy in my life, in my business, if you will.
Do you have that right there? Like, can you read it to us?
I don't. It is completely on the other side of the house.
Yeah, I'd be curious because I want to copy yours. I'm like, not steal it, but I'm just saying, like, for me, sometimes starting something, it's like writing copy. Like if someone starts it, I can write really good copy, but to come up with it seems like a lot. But those are good guidelines. So why you're doing what you're doing, that's number one. And then give me the second one more time.
That is just your values, so I value, I value flying first class, if that's your thing. I value, whatever it is, you just get it out of your head. I value
time with my family, which is why I hired someone to do dishes in the evening, because we didn't want to end, work at 5:36 and then not get to spend time with our kids because we're doing dishes for an hour and a half.
Exactly.
So, something like that. Okay, cool. Awesome. What else you got? You said also gratitude every night. We do that as well. My husband and I, we actually do questions every night, and we've done it since we got married. So actually a year before we got married. So what is it? It's about a decade or so. But every night we say, what are you grateful for? And we give each other 3 things. So every night we're always doing at least 3 things we're grateful for. And then we say, what are your accomplishments? And then we talk about accomplishments, and it's like 3 things are accomplished. So we can kind of give ourselves some love and give ourselves props.
Yeah.
Because we want to maintain our marriage, we say, what makes you feel love and what do you love about the person? So we do that because it's a good daily routine. And I have few daily routines, but that's a good daily routine that keeps us aligned with our values and keeps us grateful. So gratitude, you said you do daily as well. Any other good things, like takeaways that they can get and put into action?
Yeah. So I do the 3 things of gratitude. Just like you, I call it 3 moments of awesome in the day. So 3 things that were like exceptional, and everybody can find something. There is something. I really
hope I make that list tonight.
And then I always end the day with a word of the day. So it's like kind of my time capsule, if you will, on the day. So when I look back, because I keep this all in a journal, of course, when I look back, I can sort of see, okay, this was the summary of my day. And in the morning,
are you allowed to repeat that word, or is it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, of course. There are no rules, right? You get to kind of make your own rules.
There are no rules. Just awesome.
Right?
Really creative. You're like,
you might want to just like maybe work another word in there, like super or fantastic.
You like superlatives like that? Give me an example of a word. Is it usually just like a description type?
Yeah, well, like yesterday I went to the beach, so my word of the day was ocean. Oh. So,
okay, so it could be just a noun, whatever. All right, I like it.
I start every day with a simple question: how am I feeling today? Simple but tough question. And so I challenge myself to be honest every morning. If it's not a good day, it's not a good day. But I try to understand why. Like, why am I feeling a certain way? And that kind of helps me set the tone, the mindset for the day. And then I focus on one main goal of the day and a couple of little action steps. So I don't come out with like a laundry list of things to do. From the research I've done, most brains don't work that way. Our minds work better when there's one high level goal and a couple of action steps. And then if more things kind of evolve throughout the day, then that's totally fine. But the whole idea is to put my mind and my mindset in a place of feeling like I can step into the day and I can do what needs to be done. And some days I'm going to have a lot more energy and I'm going to be able to do a lot more. And some days I'm not. So the whole mindset piece, particularly when it comes to money too, is just honoring where you're at. And whatever that day comes, like staying present in the moment, we're not going back to yesterday. We're not going forward to tomorrow. We're just going to sit here in today and we're going to do today. Yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, it's so much more than money, right? Mindset in general, which is like, I mean, just having the right mindset it's hard, but it's so important. And what it sounds like you're really good at is having daily routines and also giving yourself permission to not be perfect. It's like, this is just what's real and authentic. And this is who I am and where I'm at without the judgment, which I think is really hard for most women because I'm not good enough. I'm beating myself up about what I didn't do yesterday. Like you said, presence, like being present today versus the past and the future. That alone, if any of us did that, would just, that would change your life, because we're often thinking about what we didn't do, what we didn't get done, and then beat ourselves up why we're not good enough. And even if it's that voice in our heads that's seemingly quiet, it's so frequent, right? It's a very prolific voice. There's so much, like so frequent that we're hearing this all the time. And then it's like, what about tomorrow? What do I got to do? I'm thinking about the future. And if we could, that's a huge, huge thing. That's a whole podcast itself. Like every episode we'd have something new, but yeah, that's amazing. And if you guys just take one thing away as you're listening here, it's like, what can you do on a daily basis to get yourself in the right mindset? And to start recognizing the truth, like, how do you feel about money? Are you in abundance? Are you in scarcity? Are you noticing things? Are you noticing that you're projecting? Like, for example, I'm a cheap chip, as I said, like, I don't like to spend a lot of money. So I used to be, especially when I was in a lot more scarcity. I'm also delusional Dan with my second money type, which has gotten me to take a lot of risk, but it's also delusional Dan is kind of all over the place and excited about like every other idea and doing too many things. So it's noticing these patterns that you're running. But if you start to notice that you're more in scarcity, and let's say you're charging fees and you don't like to pay a lot, like I don't like to pay a lot, you might be projecting that onto someone who's not worried about the fee. And then you give them time to think about it when they're ready to buy. And now you lose them as a client because you're giving them, this extra time to think about it. They don't need, they just want to be guided. So if you notice that in you, you can start to not overcompensate for it, but start to recognize it and start to be just real about it and say, oh, I have a tendency to be a little fee averse, but that doesn't mean I have to be scared about raising my fees or I have to be afraid to talk about or give people extra time to think about it. I just am aware that that's a thing. And in fact, knowing that might do the opposite. Like if I charge more, then they'd actually get more value. So I think there's a lot of ways that they can take this. What would you say is just, big takeaways for them as far as how can this help not just themselves, but also their clients?
Well, you talked about, we have various different roles, whether it's therapist or whatever word you might insert in there. But when I was working with clients, every single first conversation would start with the mindset conversation without the client knowing that's what I was doing, because I really wanted to understand a lot of the things like we're talking about today. I wanted to understand, how do they feel about money? What sort of money lies have they believed through their life? What is their story? Their story, just like you were talking about, the story tells a lot about where they are today. And it can help you when you're in the planning mode, not only where you're coming up with a financial plan, but then also when you're talking to them about implementation. So really understanding how they think, act, and feel about money can help that piece really stick for them and help it be a success. Because of course, we all want our clients to be successful and to be able to make those shifts. So I would really suggest take some bits of what we're talking about today. If you're interested, the Money Mindset Journal, you can grab a copy and take whatever you want from it and, utilize that with your clients. But it's starting to have this conversation. And I've done this with, again, men who have $100 million in assets who you wouldn't typically think might want to have this conversation. But I get them talking about their childhood, and there's like a magical light bulb that goes into them when they start thinking about money from a little bit different perspective. So I think people really love to share their stories. And if you can help them have some of these aha moments, then it makes the other pieces of financial planning. I mean, from my experience, it makes it stick a lot better.
So put that fact finder aside and ask some money mindset questions. Put that fact finder aside. No, it's very true. And I think it makes you stand out for sure, because you're asking deeper questions that you really want to know how you said it perfectly, how they act, how they think, how they feel. Just that alone, if you just remember, think, act, feel, like how are you thinking, acting, and feeling? And then how are your clients feeling as well, your prospects? I mean, that's huge. Where do they get the Money Mindset Journal, and how can they find you?
Yeah, so you can go to, the company is Hello It's Me. Our website is sayhelloitsme.com. And you can find me, Millennial Money Podcast, on any podcast player. And, feel free to join in the conversations, send me an email. I'm more than happy to help you down this money mindset road.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me. That was super fun. I appreciate it. We will put that in my gratitude list tonight. I'm grateful for this and so grateful to have you on the podcast. So thank you so much. And we'll see you all next time. Bye. Are you getting all the quality prospects on your calendar that you'd like? If not, join us in the Appointment Generator Challenge. Go to femalefinancialadvisors.com and register for free. We guarantee you'll get 5 quality appointments in 5 days if you follow this system, and you can do it from online. You don't even have to pick up the phone. Whether you're just starting, whether you've been in the industry 3 to 5 years, or even 30 years, this challenge will be perfect for you. Check it out, femalefinancialadvisors.com, and register for absolutely free. Can't wait to see you there.